Okay, first and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakah Kodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom to the hopeful elect. Right now, I ran across an article, and started doing a little research on it. And so I have two articles I want to read dealing with the creation of virtual cells, like a cell, right? The basic unit of life. Right, so this is the first one. It says Priscilla Chan, Stephen Quake discuss accelerating science with AI at Stanford's Big Ideas in Medicine. Right, this is from the Chuck Zuckerberg Initiative, Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, right, in which Priscilla Chan is the wife of Mark Zuckerberg, right? So So it says on Saturday, CZI co-founder and co-CEO Priscilla Chan and CZI and CZ Biohub Network head of science Stephen Quake spoke at Stanford's Big Ideas in Medicine conference about accelerating science with AI. The gathering brings together thought leaders from academia, business, and policy to present their big ideas that will shape the future of medicine in a conversation moderated by Stanford bioengineering professor and CZI Science Advisory Board member Michael Fishback. Chan and Quake shared how they came to see the promise and potential for technology to transform science and their thoughts about the inflection point we're at right now in science with AI. CZI is building one of the world's largest AI clusters for nonprofit life science research to enable AI and large language models for biomedicine at scale. CZI is also creating virtual cell models that aim to unlock new understanding about human health and disease with broad applications for biomedical research, disease diagnosis, and therapeutic development. Chan and Quake talked about the energy and excitement behind this work to build virtual cell models and their shared belief that using the power of AI to predict how healthy and diseased cells behave will lead to more insights and breakthroughs in treating disease. Right now, when I first read this, they frame it as, we want to develop this, this virtual AI, a replica basically of the human cell, in order to, learn how it's affected by diseases and whatnot in order to, develop medicines to counteract that. Right? That's how they're framing it. But just as well as it can be used for that, it can be used for the opposite. Because if they developed a replica of virtual human cell, right, that means they would know the things that hurt the cell. And this can be used to create the most wicked plagues, wicked diseases known to man. Here's another article, right? This is a short little article on it. Basically, their mission statement at CZI. Virtual cells. We're building AI-powered virtual cells to help scientists explore the molecular underpinnings of human health and disease. Right? So that's what they're telling us. And that very well could be a benefit from it. We're leveraging AI to build virtual cells that are capable of predicting the behavior of healthy and diseased cells, which will have broad applications for biomedical research, disease diagnosis, and therapeutic development. In which is like, it can be used for this, but we know the end goal for, these elites, these higher ups, right, is to make money. Doing this is not going to make them money. They're going to lose more money, right? Because if they can develop a perfect virtual cell and use that to further medicine, everything would be curable. In which everything already is, and they know that, but that doesn't get money in their pockets. If you go to the doctor and actually get cured of the disease, how are you going to come back? There ain't no coming back, right? So that's obviously not what they're trying to do, right? Their goal is to escalate the population, right? But continuing, we're leveraging AI to build virtual cells that are capable of predicting the behavior of healthy and diseased cells, which will have broad applications for biomedical research, disease diagnosis, and therapeutic development. We believe this effort will deepen our understanding of human biology at a molecular level, bringing scientists closer to curing, preventing, or managing all diseases by the end of this century. Right? All diseases. And if I'm not mistaken, cancer, right? One of the largest, things out there. Isn't that just like a over reproduction of cells? Let me search that up real quick. Yeah, cancer is a group of diseases characterized by uncontrolled cell growth and a potential to invade and spread to other parts of the body. Right? And throughout the years, right, we've heard stories of people who've actually cured cancer and were taken out. Because why? Cancer is a huge breadwinner. So again, that's going to show you that there has to be an undermining plan to this, right? What they really want, and we know obviously, right, that this biomedical engineering and whatnot, all of that's leading to the mark. Which says to enable this to work, we're building a platform where biologists and machine learning researchers can more easily access curated, large AI models of cell biology and the datasets they were built on. This lowers the barriers for biologists to use AI for specific biological tasks and allows ML, which I believe is machine learning, and AI, artificial intelligence researchers to rapidly iterate and improve the quality, utility, and performance of models, which will in turn speed up the process of science. We're prototyping in the open, and the platform is now available in early access for the scientific community, right? And when it first came upon me, obviously first thought was, well, if they can use it for that, it can be used for the opposite as well, right? Because again, if they were able to perfect a virtual replica of the human cell, they could run all types of simulations and see how it reacts to this certain thing, how it reacts to this certain thing, that certain thing, right? And they can develop it's like what's the word? It can be used for both good and evil, right? And dealing with devils, what do you think is going to be used for, man? But first scripture that came to mind when I read this was Daniel chapter 12, verse 4, Salakia. Not Samuel, Daniel. It's Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Right? And those words and seal the book obviously was the understanding, right, being sealed within the Bible, which through the sacrifice of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the gospel was preached, right? The gospel was able to be understood, for lack of better words, even to the time of the end, right? And we know we're in the end times, watching diligently, looking at the things around the world. We know that we're in the end times, right? The return of Yahushai soon. But even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Right? Knowledge being increased. This is twofold. The knowledge of the scriptures. You got, starting with the apostles and elders, GMS on down. The knowledge of the scriptures is flourishing. The mysteries within the Bible have been brought to light through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But that's on the right hand side. On the left handed side, their technology knowledge has been increased. Look at all of this AI. AI itself is a prime example of that. But again, look at what they're trying to do with it. With their technology, they're trying to play God, man. Play the Most High. Trying to create the perfect virtual human cell or cell in general, you know? And I don't believe they're ever going to get to that point, right? Because that type of knowledge that's Heavenly Father exclusive, right? And scriptures even say that, you know? Let's grab Romans 11:33. Yeah, just started with 33. Romans 11:33. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to find out through the use of their technology, their AI, right? How the Lord created a cell. You know, where I did ChatGPT, right? More AI, and I asked it, how close are scientists to developing a virtual cell? Well, let's read what it says. That's a great question, and virtual cells are actually one of the most exciting frontiers in computational biology right now. Here's where things stand as of 2025. A virtual cell is a complete computer model that simulates how a real biological cell behaves, including its metabolism, gene expression, molecular interactions, and responses to changes in its environment. The ultimate goal is to make a fully functional digital twin of a living cell. How close scientists are? We're getting closer, but we're not all the way there yet. Here's a quick breakdown of the current progress. Single cell simulations already exist, but simplified. The first complete model of a bacterium, Mycoplasma genitalium, was built in 2012 by researchers at Stanford. Since then, newer models like E. coli and Bacillus subtilis have been made that simulate many of the cell's functions, but they're still partial and require huge computational power. Advances in AI and computing power, AI-driven modeling, especially deep learning and molecular dynamics, has massively sped up how we predict protein interactions and metabolic reactions. Supercomputers and cloud-based simulations now let scientists test thousands of what-if biological scenarios that used to be impossible. Virtual organelles and networks. Teams in Europe, like the Virtual Cell Project and Whole Cell Viz, and Japan's Riken Institute, are modeling individual organelles like mitochondria in extreme detail. These are being combined into larger cell scale models step by step. Digital twins for medicine, a biotechnology and drug development. Partial virtual cells are already used to predict how cells respond to new drugs, toxins, or genetic mutations. These are called cellular digital twins, and companies like Ginkgo Bioworks and Insilico Medicine use them in real world research, right? So, and they've already got basically, as I said, the cells that they're using aren't perfect, but they've already got a little, like a lesser version, you know, for lack of better words, where they can, as it reads, predict how cells respond to new drugs, toxins, or genetic mutations. So they know what can fuck you up, you know. And this is why scriptures speak about, you know, the grievous sore on all of those who took the mark, because it could very well be your body's reaction, right? The cells reacting to whatever the fuck they put in that shit, man. But let's continue reading. Integration, simulating everything at once, from DNA transcription, or what's still missing. Integration, simulating everything at once, from DNA transcription to signaling to metabolism, is still too complex. It's still too complex. What did we just read? Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. The depth. Let's look into this word depth. Bathos, right? Depth, height of the deep sea. Metaphorically deep, extreme poverty of the deep things of the Most High. Depth, deepness, deep thing. Right? From the same as G901, profundity, by implication, extent, figurative, mystery, deepness, things, depth. So the knowledge of the Lord is just too deep, it's too complex, it's too extraordinary to be replicated. Data gaps: we don't yet know enough about all molecular interactions inside cells. Computation: a true virtual human cell would take exascale level computing to run in real time. Estimated timeline: next 5 years, by 2030. What were they saying? Right, they expect everyone to have or they expect their plans to be finished by 2030, right? That's what all these scientists, or these, what, I can't remember exactly who, but they kept pushing out 2030, 2030, 2030, right? We should be done by 2030. Everyone should have this by 2030, right? And that's something to think about, right? Maybe the reason that they haven't really pushed the MOTB, right, the micro CHIP, that RFID CHIP out like that yet, is because they haven't perfected it. You know, that's just speculation, of course. Or maybe the Lord just said it ain't timing, right? All his elect not gathered yet, you know. But continuing, fully functional bacterial virtual cells that behave like living ones the next 5 years. You know, Lord willing, we do not have that much time left. And by the way things are looking, we definitely don't. Hey man, ain't no way in hell we got 5 years yet left, right? As Apostle said, we count on the months. They finna cut the SNAP benefits off right during the holiday season. People about to go wild, man. Next 10 to 20 years, detailed models of human cells, first for specific types like liver or immune cells. Beyond 2040, real-time, fully integrated virtual human cells that could predict disease or test drugs digitally before lab trials. Right, and then here it showed me like the major, you know, people working on it. Obviously, one of the ones, Chan Zuckerberg, like what we just read, right? But here, I asked it, right? The point that came to my mind, right? Is there any danger in having developed a perfect virtual human cell? Yes, there could be potential dangers in developing a fully functional virtual human cell, though it depends on how it's used. Let me break it down carefully. Dual use technology: like many biotech advances, virtual cells could be misused, and that's right. The age-old saying: with great power comes great responsibility. But dealing with the wicked, they deal wickedly. You know, I forget what scripture it was coming to my mind, but it's like the basically the mercies of the wicked are cruel, something like that. Let's see if we can find it. Mercy, wicked. The tender mercies. The Wadi Hawa Shema Shai. This is Proverbs chapter 12 verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Meaning when they're being nice, they're being mean. This is them showing mercy and it's still cruel. Come on now. So when you give them great power, bro, what you think they're gonna do with it? As it says, dual use technology: like many biotech advances, virtual cells could be misused. A perfect virtual human cell could theoretically be used to simulate pathogens, toxins, or genetic modifications for harmful purposes. Right, and that's the point I was trying to bring out in the beginning. That's the first thing that came to my mind, right through the spirit, is they can easily misuse this, man. This falls under dual use research of concern, DURC. Tools meant for good science could be misapplied. Ethical issues: if a virtual cell becomes detailed enough to simulate neuronal activity or consciousness, a long-term possibility, it raises profound ethical questions about what counts as life or experience. Now, dealing with the dual-use technology, let's grab this Revelation chapter 13 verse 11, right? And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right now, this another beast coming up out of the earth, dealing with here, modern Rome, America, right? That two horns, the Dems and Republicans. But what? He had two horns like a lamb. What are lambs? They're meek, they're docile, they're calm, they're nice, right? And he spake as a dragon, meaning when they present themselves, right, they come to you all nice, like, we want to form treaties, agreements, but then they speak as a dragon. They show the real them, right? The them that just wants war, the them that just wants corruption, the them that just wants to pillage and destroy. They show the real them once you let them in, right? You knew I was a snake. that story. That's what this seems like to me, right? Where we're pushing this, we want to develop these virtual cells, right, to better science, to better medicine, right? But really, they want to be able to truly understand life to the extent of Yahweh Ba'Shem Awashai, so that they can control it, right? And they can do away with it as well. Right? Because going back, theoretically, right, be used to simulate pathogens, toxins, or genetic modifications for harmful purposes, man. In so many words, this can be used to kill. Number 3 says medical misinformation over reliance. Digital twin cells could allow doctors or researchers to test drugs virtually, but if models are slightly inaccurate, it could lead to wrong predictions about treatments. People might trust simulations over actual human trials too soon. Privacy concerns. If a virtual cell is part of a digital twin of a real person, it might conclude personal genomic or health data. Misuse of this data could lead to privacy violations or discrimination, right? In which they want to do away with all the privacy anyways, right? With this 24/7 surveillance digital age they trying to push, right? In means of keeping us safe, quote unquote. Straight bullshit. Unintended biological insights. A perfect virtual cell could reveal vulnerabilities in human biology that could be exploited maliciously, e.g. new ways to make diseases more effective. And that's the key point right there. That's too much power right there, man. They can developing a perfect virtual cell, how much the possibilities are endless, right? Because you got to think, the fact that a cell is the smallest unit of life, right? That's what science teaches us, right? The cell is the smallest unit of life. If they can figure out how to replicate a perfect virtual form of that, they could use it to simulate all types of things, right? They could start deconstructing it, testing this with it, testing that with it. Bro, it's like it can lead to so much. For the worse, of course, right? Because again, we're dealing with devils. But that also goes into what? Their pride, right? Them trying to be like the Most High, trying to replicate Salakia, the human cell, man. Replicate life as we know it, right? And scriptures speak about that. The 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, we start here at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, right? And that man of sin is being revealed. It's already revealed, the son of perdition. Let's look into this word perdition. Apaliah, destroying, utter destruction of vessels, a perishing ruin, destruction of money, the destruction which consists of eternal misery in hell, right, in which there's no such thing as hell. Perdition, destruction, waste, damnable, die, perish, pernicious, ruin or loss, destruction, die, perdition. And who it's speaking about is, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the son of perdition, the devil, Satan, and its, the physical counterpart, the wicked, right? The wicked. If you were to search up the wicked, right, images of so-called white man will pop up. Esau Edom. Okay, Salakia for the interruption, but continuing, right, on 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, right, which is Esau Edom, the so-called wicked, the so-called white man, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High, right, going into that pride, that haughtiness, right, lifting themselves up, or trying to, right, above the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. How are they, trying to show that? Through the means of their technology, through the means of their advancements, right? And that main one being that RFID microseed here. Through their technology, they're going to try to achieve godlike status, trying to achieve ultimately the promises, right? Trying to achieve the power, the control over everything, everlasting life, right? Spiritual power. They're trying to achieve all of that through technology, man. But as we've been reading here, just trying to replicate such a thing as a human cell, even virtually, is just too complex. Because the Lord's wisdom is just far beyond man, far beyond anyone else's. So let's finish this off. It says, bottom line, a perfect virtual human cell is incredibly powerful for medicine and science, but like any powerful tool, it comes with risks, both ethical and security related. You can never trust the devil, right? You can never trust thine enemy. But no matter how much they try, what they do, they can't come close to the knowledge of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right, so we'll close it off here. This is Job chapter 5, verse 9. We start at verse 8. I would seek unto the Most High, and unto the Most High would I commit my cause, which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. Right, great things and unsearchable. The Lord's wisdom is unsearchable. The things that he can do, the things that he's done is unsearchable. Right, and what are they trying to do? They're trying to search, get to the blueprint of creating a cell, But with that being said, once more, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Greater Millstone. Right, Lord willing, this video was edifying or informative in some way, shape, or form, and shalom to the hopeful elect.